Do you feel like you've been in a bit of a rut and you would love to have some optimal systems to help your life run more smoothly so you're never living in overwhelm? Well, we're here to support you with that today. I'm April Perry, and here at LearnDoBecome, we help people who are overwhelmed by the details of life to create simple systems so they can do what matters most. And today I want to help you to get out of that rut, and we're going to start by comparing chaotic activity to optimal systems. And for those listening to the audio, on YouTube I have a board, so I'll try to describe it as much as possible for you. Okay, so first of all, here's we look at chaotic activity. I have 5 gears that look like 5 flowers, but they're 5 gears that are not connected. So they're just spinning independently. If you have 5 gears spinning independently, that is a great symbol of chaotic activity, and you know how that feels. It's where you wake up in the morning, you kind of look at your calendar, but then something on your text messages tells you have to do something else, and then you get an interruption, and then you feel hungry, and then you remember that you wanted to go for a run, and then you get all these emergencies via email, and you're just jumping from thing to thing to thing. So when you're living in chaotic activity, if you look at how much energy that requires, it's actually a lot. And you know that because at the end of the day, you're really tired. But it's also, when you look at the time benefited, it does help you for maybe, an hour, 2 hours a day. It's getting you by, which is why you keep doing it. And I lived in chaotic activity for all my life growing up until I was about 30. And I would make lists that was as organized as I could get, but then I would hack at it all day in chaotic activity. And then the next day I would rewrite all the things I didn't do, and I would hack at that all day. And it's exhausting. So I'm not gonna say more on that because I'm guessing you're here because you're in the chaotic activity and you understand. But let's talk about optimal systems. If I even just have 3 gears, but they're working together, now it just takes a little bit of energy, especially if you're working in 10-minute microbursts. And the time it can benefit you can be months. These are little calendars I drew. It could be months, it could be years. You could actually create systems that could last for the rest of your life. So that's what's so great, is when you think about it, relatively the energy that's required is so much less to create a system than to just live in chaos. So hopefully at this point I have converted you to the idea, or you're already on the same page with me and you say, okay, April, let's say I do want optimal systems. Well, how do I create them? I'm so glad you asked. Okay, so first we're gonna want a current projects list. I have in the corner of my board a little purple sample of a current projects list where basically I have a list I hang on my office wall and I keep a copy with me, and it's current projects that I'm doing that month, organized by me, my family, and beyond. Beyond means paid or volunteer work. The beautiful part about this is when you have a current projects list that has, just 7 or 8 projects total for the month, now you can focus. And when it's me, family, and beyond, that list is balanced. So you're taking care of all the facets of your life in a very focused way. So if you wanted to create systems, you might start with one system, and you're going to call it a project to create the system. Once it's running and it's on autopilot, you're good to go. It might fold into routines. But at the beginning, getting an optimal system in place is going to be a project. And I'm going to give 3 examples from my life and then share a little brainstorm on other ways you can use it. Okay, so example 1 is creating my food plan, my groceries, and my cooking. I used to live in chaotic activity when it came to food purchasing and prep, where I would run to the store if we ran out of something. I had no idea what we were eating for dinner, so I would make something up, eat pancakes, eggs, I don't know, something. And it was incredibly chaotic as far as what I bought, where, different stores, things would go moldy, right? It was just that type of thing. Now I have a really optimized system, and I won't go into all the details, but essentially I create a template that has all the standards that I want to make sure we have. I have a space to ask myself, okay, do we have any guests coming for dinner this week, or are we taking food to any event? What are we going to have for our family dinners? What do I want for the regular food I have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? And it's just a very, very simple template that I can just look at every week. Then I order my groceries online, so I place the order, and then once I get my groceries, we know exactly where things go. Like frozen things go here on the left, vegetables here, fruits here, all the produce, this drawer or this part of the fridge. We have everything just organized so we know where everything belongs, where it generally goes in the pantry, that type of thing. And then if we're making special meals, they're on the calendar. Okay, so those are just a few parts of a very simple system so that we always have the food that we need. I don't run to the store all the time or place orders all the time. It's once a week. It's fairly simple and I don't have to worry about it. Okay, next one, we do something called We Love to Be a Family Day. It's annual. We've done it for, I think, 11 years now, and it's a holiday we do every February. Well, if I didn't have a system, I might forget to do it or I might remember last minute. So instead I have a little calendar reminder 1 month before, usually we do it in February, so in early January, I will have a calendar reminder to check with our family members, whoever will be in town, and we set a date together. Hey, when could you get off work? When could we do We Love to Be a Family Day? So once we have that set, then I have a little template of the kinds of things that we do. We have like an anchor activity that's usually like a movie or an event or something that's kind of extra that we don't do typically. And we usually have a meal together and we do some service together and we do our cinnamon roll hug where you put your hands together and you make a little cinnamon roll. So we have some of the staples. But then I can fill that out. Then I make a little map. I use a grocery store bag and little hearts, and I write a really bad poem on every heart to make a clue. I mean, it's just silly, but the kids like to read it and guess, what we're doing with the clue. And that's my system. And so the reason why we've been able to have our We Love to Be a Family Day every year is because it's systematized and it's easy to do. Okay, next one, we have a webinar that Eric and I have been teaching. And it used to be where we would teach a webinar, and then if we wanted to send an email right after the class, I would go on and I would send the email manually, and then I'd have another email we'd send the next day to let them know about like our coaching opportunities and things like that. And I was doing a lot of manual email because we taught one webinar and it did so well and everyone was so excited about it that we taught another webinar, and then I was teaching another webinar. And so I was trying to keep track of the groups and what emails they should be receiving and what information they needed. And it was just starting to become a little bit cumbersome. So we bought a piece of software that helped us where once we taught a class, that it would have a little timer and then it would auto send an email to that group. And then there's another timer and it would send the next email to that group. And it saved me so much time and angst because I knew that when someone came and took a class from us, they would get the follow-up information that they needed without me needing to remember or look at the list or do it manually. So those are just 3 examples with personal life, family life, and professional life where systems have been such a gift because they enable me to do the things that matter most, to serve the people I want to serve, to have food to eat, to be able to strengthen a family, and it doesn't feel super hard. Another few examples, I just have little pictures below. If you wanted to read more or you want to, improve your education, you can create systems to remind you to go to the library or take courses or join a book club, right? You can create a system for that. For finances, we do that in our Arise membership. Having a system to identify your financial net worth and do that quarterly. Systems for how you're going to budget and how you're going to invest. Once those systems are in place, they're so much easier to manage and you start to see the results. Another one might be laundry. Having a system where are we sorting whites and colors? What day do we do the laundry? Who folds? Who puts it away? All that kind of stuff. So that laundry can feel effortless. And I know that when you put these systems together, it might feel like, I don't want to go build a whole system. But when you think about it, if it's just a little bit of energy, if you have a current projects list, you're focused on it, you're just going to do a little bit at a time to build that system, then it's going to serve you over and over and over again. And I love this quote from James Clear. He says, "You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems." And I think we've all seen that. So I hope that you're excited about this. I do want to close with some community celebrations, so let's jump into those for a minute. Our first celebration is from Jen. So she's one of our steppers, members of our Steps to Everyday Productivity program. She said, #StepWin. I finished my Command Central and processed the stuff. She finished our module 4. Okay, so her before picture, it's like an average desk, but you can just see there's no clarity. There's piles, there's kind of papers in the middle, there's other papers, there's maybe nail polish or something in the middle, just a lot of stuff. But then after, with cubbies and an almost empty inbox, you see this beautiful, calm, clear desk. And she's got our printables from the program there on her bulletin board and right there with all of her folders. And it's just this nice, clear, beautiful workspace. So way to go, Jen, so great. Next is from Dana. She said, I am so excited. I have 4 email accounts and I just got all the inboxes to 0. Of course, that means I put years worth of stuff in the to sort folder, but at least from this day forward, I won't be accumulating more emails in that inbox. She's so excited. Now she doesn't have that email clutter. And if you're thinking, oh, I'd love to have my emails at 0, on inbox 0, we have a free resource that I will link along with this recording so that you can do it as well. But so proud of you, Dana. And then next is from Natalie. She said, a win! I have just moved something off my 5-year plan list to my completed list, and we have started on another project on the 5-year plan. And I love that we can have a list of projects, brainstorms, but then we can move them into our current projects, and then they're actually completed. It's a beautiful way to be able to manage it. So well done, Natalie. So great. Okay, I hope that this has been encouraging for you. And if you're thinking, I would love to create my current projects list and learn how I can actually stop drowning in piles and create simple systems so I can do what matters most, you're going to want to come get our welcome kit at LearnDoBecome.com/welcome. We're going to give you the tools so that you can learn, how do I build an optimal current projects list? How do I start putting these systems in place with very simple next actions? And we'll help you walk out of the overwhelm so that you can feel calm and present. I know one question you might be asking is, if I build all these systems, I'm not going to be creative and going with the flow and, working from inspiration. I'm going to feel really constrained by all of these systems that are supposed to help me. But what I will tell you is when you build optimal systems, meaning they're around the things that matter most, they're flexible, and they're done in a way that's actually serving you, it increases your creativity and your freedom. It will enable you to have more brain space to think about, how am I going to take care of myself? How will I strengthen my family? How will I build my professional career? And then you're going to feel the sense of relief and hope and excitement. And I can't wait to hear how it goes for you and to hear about your success. So we'll see you soon at LearnDoBecome.com.